Let's go! Shawn Murphy chooses Alabama, but there's a lot of good news hopefully heading LSU's way with Emery Jones making his announcement later this week. So what should LSU do right now about their linebacker room? Maybe nothing. Just be patient. Don't reach for anyone for a few reasons. The first reason is that LSU should do whatever it takes to get HAROLD PERKINS, the five-star linebacker with heavy New Orleans ties, and obviously this would be the crown jewel. Right now, HAROLD PERKINS is my number one player in 2022, period. He is really that good, and a linebacker that could transform your defense, whether in coverage. He honestly does a lot of pass rushing and blitzing, and his ball skills are absolutely ridiculous. We talk about him a lot on live streams, and it's for good reason. He really is that good at football. So that should be your number one target. Now, will LSU land him? It's going to be hard to get him out of Texas, but it is a possibility. And outside of that, the only other elite linebacker prospect I could see LSU potentially flipping right now, and once again, it's very early, is CJ Washington, who's currently committed to Georgia. He's also had some heavy LSU lean. So right now, LSU's linebacker room is only DeMario Tolan for the class of 2022 out of the state of Florida. That's a really good commitment. A lot of people feel he's underrated. He is an elite athlete, and hopefully LSU could bring him in. So before we get into a few other names here, let's talk about LSU's linebacker room as a whole. I think there are two major points to make about it. The first is that the linebacker depth is probably not as good as you think. The first thing is, if, let's say, Bug Strong has a breakout year, he is eligible to enter the NFL draft next season. The same thing applies for Mike Jones. So a lot like Jabril Cox, these guys might be one-and-done type of players, and that very well could happen. And then you have more experienced guys like Damon Clark, Micah Baskerville, and Jared Small. All three of these guys I think will play a lot next season, and all three of them will be gone because all three of them are seniors. So yeah, that would leave your linebacker room with only two names, basically, Antoine Sampa and Josh White, two elite linebackers from the class of 2020. So yes, you should be a little concerned about LSU's linebacker recruiting moving forward, but there are two counters to this. The first is that Durante Jones is in his first year as the defensive coordinator. So what does that mean exactly? Well, linebackers could have an entirely new meaning. The SEC has changed so much, not just with the new teams that are coming into the conference down the road with Texas and Oklahoma, both of which are going to have really good spread offense attacks. Really, the rest of the SEC has become so much more better on offense, so much more better. They all have gotten way better on offense, and they have all gotten way more spread heavy on offense, which means the kind of linebackers that you need are going to change. So you could see down the road more safety hybrid linebacker types. So while LSU only has one linebacker committed in this class in DeMario Tolan, you could see a guy like a Jacoby Matthews be a future five-star hybrid safety linebacker player, kind of like in the mold of Mike Jones now going into this next season. So the first thing is the linebacker position is changing. And the second thing is that LSU, for the second straight year, has addressed linebacker in the transfer portal. So Mike Jones, I think we all agree, should be a really good player for LSU next season. And obviously the year before that, or this past year, Jabril Cox, while his run defense wasn't the best, he is one of the best coverage linebackers to ever play at LSU. So LSU has been able to address this position in the portal. There's no reason for that to change moving forward. So I'm going to give you two names to look out for. So once again, Trevante Citizen and Jacoby Matthews are linebacker candidates, even though they're not listed as a linebacker, and neither one of them might not even play linebacker. The first guy I want to mention is JAVAE Gilmore. I really like him a lot out of Amite, Louisiana. Now, he's a little light. Some people don't see him as a linebacker. Guess what? I don't really know what position he plays either. I just know that I've seen him on tape. rush the passer off the edge. I've seen him play safety. I've seen him play slot corner. He's just a really good athlete. Now, he's not a special athlete. He's not a Harold Perkins who just blows you away, but he is like Harold Perkins in that he does a lot of different things well. Even on the Louisiana Bootlegger team, he also plays wide receiver in 7-on-7 football. And the value in having a guy like JAVAE Gilmore, who in the past has said in interviews that he would dream to play for LSU, is when you have versatile athletes like that, they give you a lot of value on special teams as well. So, yes, I am a JAVAE Gilmore guy. Yes, I am a take on him in this class. There's also another guy in this class by the name of Khalif Edwards, who his name has been tied to LSU more as workouts have become, more prevalent. And look, he's a really solid linebacker prospect. As you can see, 6 foot, 221, a little bit more of a traditional linebacker than, let's say, JAVAE Gilmore. But a lot like JAVAE Gilmore, he would give you value on special teams. Now, if you want a deep cut, let's go to a linebacker that's actually rated higher than both of them, but he's already committed to LSU. The biggest wild card in all of this is ROBBIE Snelling, a 4-star linebacker out of Nevada. Now, he is currently committed to LSU to play baseball. Now, we talked about him last week. We won't go too deep into his story, but he is a real elite baseball prospect, and he's a pretty good linebacker prospect. Jay Johnson is the new LSU baseball coach. He comes from Arizona, and Jay Johnson was recruiting him to Arizona, and then he committed to LSU for baseball. He throws over 90 miles per hour. He very well could get drafted. He very well could not ever even step foot in Baton Rouge, but he's really good at football and baseball. Something else you could do at LSU is take a look at the 2023 cycle. And honestly, the 2023 cycle might be the best cycle of Louisiana linebackers ever, with Jaden Ausberry and Tackett Curtis, both of which are top 100 linebackers. Emery Jones does commit this weekend. And you see here on his Twitter, Arkansas, Tennessee. This is Arkansas. Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida State, and LSU. They might not necessarily be his top 4 per se. I think there's a lot more names that could potentially get Emery Jones, but I would feel pretty good right now if you're LSU. You see here, a lot of people feel confident that he's going to go to LSU, and these are 3 of the best recruiting writers you'll find, all having heavy LSU ties here. It's going to be really hard for someone to get Emery Jones out of Baton Rouge, Catholic High Baton Rouge. His workouts show that he might be quicker than a lot of prospects that are tinier than him. So I think he's special. I really do. I think he is a 2 or 3 year starter, a Will Clapp type of player, and you add him along to Will Blackwell, and you have one of the better Louisiana offensive line crops in a long time. So, yeah, it's just a waiting game. This is such a massive commitment for LSU at a huge position of need. So, but this is, to me, LSU's number 1 prospect that is currently uncommitted. And unlike the linebacker position, and I felt this way for quite some time, there's 2 positions in 2022 that I would be really concerned about, and it is linebacker and offensive line. I think everywhere else for LSU, they'll be fine as far as recruiting is concerned for this cycle. Even with their current state, I think LSU is extremely deep at every other position outside of this one. And, with the difference between offensive line and linebacker is that the position isn't changing a whole lot. You still need 5 of them to play. You still need 4 to 5 backups that you could rely on, and Emery Jones would be one of those guys immediately in year 1. I do think he's really good, and we have done not only an actual game film study, but an actual film study of his one-on-one blocking ability, both of which I will link down below. Boom! I'm looking at you right now. Comment down below. Do you think Emery Jones will actually commit to LSU? And a programming reminder, I will be out of town tomorrow for a doctor's appointment. So the Tuesday night live stream, we're still going to have it. It's just going to start a little after 8 instead of our normal 7 p.m. Central start time. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! Oh, I think we're doing pork chops tonight. Let's go!